And then, but then, how do you do that? Through the mind. And how? Because you have ideals. You have something to do it for. Remember we talked about the person that wants to go to the, how do you call this, to the Olympics. And for the sake of that gold medal, now that becomes what? The icon that he pursues, and because of that, then he likes hamburgers. But those hamburgers are opposite to what he should eat if he would want to go to the to training and all that stuff. He would like to go out to a party and to a movie and all that stuff. Well, you want to go party, no problem. But don't forget about gold medal. Kind of thing. So the person, he should be able to then forego that stuff and not feel that he's being cheated of life. In other words, what I'm doing for the sake of my goal, my objective. So then, for that sake, the person will do things. People think that if you want to be spiritual, you got to give up everything. And that's not the case. You have to give up the binding aspect of it. Let's suppose I go to a dance with my wife, and I shouldn't, so dancing is not the thing, because people sometimes in some religions think dancing is not good. So, hey, wait a minute, you go and dancing, how come you're spiritual, you go dancing? Hey, listen, I got an obligation, I got a family, and we have my wife likes it, so we go, why not? You see, but you do it, with that ego and something, in other words, that doesn't become a hang-up for you, and so on and so on. So, you learn to, in the midst of doing it, even like Janaka, the king, he was actually ruling a kingdom, he had all these comforts and everything, but the fellow, was not ruled by them. While others that were supposed to be sannyasins, they were what he calls here, what is the other sannyasis? He calls them, the previous, they were incomplete, imperfect sannyasis, as he called it, okay? They came to listen to this teacher, and they were so concerned about their lota and their how you call this, and their little jar where they would eat the food when the fire came. And then Janaka, that was the owner of the whole thing, not just a little bowl. He was in rapture listening to the Vedanta. He said, so these guys were criticizing Janaka because he was a king. How can he be spiritual? So it had nothing to do with what you do or don't do. It's an attitude that you have towards things. So that a person needs to go through in order for self-knowledge to take place. Let's suppose if a person did that very well and a person died before getting self-knowledge, then that person might be born again, with a desire for all those things. But then the person has to have a mature mind that will be able to let him do that. Even in the Christian monasteries, the Christian monasteries and nunneries, before somebody goes and surrenders and marries Jesus, they marry Jesus, do you know that? Mm-hmm. It's actually a wedding. Do you know that? It's a wedding. And they go and they, how Indians do, and they lay on the floor and they open themselves up and this and that with their head on the floor completely. That's what they do. And they marry Jesus. They put a ring. Actually, you see a nun, she'll have a ring. But before they do that, they need to go to novitiate. You know what novitiate is? You know novitiate?
Novitiate?
Yeah.
No.
A novitiate is someone that is a newbie that goes there and then goes to a process of period of testing himself or herself out. And there's a mother superior or somebody which is a mentor that checks out the person. And the person himself or herself goes through all kinds of stuff until he finally determines that this person has a vocation for it. Otherwise, they're kicked out. They go home, get married. You say, look at the boys, my God, heart is thumping. What are you doing here? Just go back home. Why? Because Raga Dvesha is still ruling. So even in a Christian tradition, I'm talking about how do you call this, contemplatives.
Monasteries.
Yeah, they have this novitiate. I think it's called a novitiate. In other words, it comes from nuevo, which means new. The person that is applying for it, and so they wear it just like in the ashrams in India. You know, you don't put the ochre robe on. You first go yellow. You see that? You know brahmacharis? They wear yellow. They don't wear the
Saffron color.
the saffron color. Have you seen that? The brahmacharis, and they're not yet
Yeah, they
swamis.
wear white in
Hmm?
the beginning.
Or white and then yellow, but they don't go into sannyas until they have actually
White and-
shown that they have already overcome ragadvesha. So matter of fact, some swamis that didn't go very well through that, they reverted back and got married because they really didn't have it. Ragadvesha was there. So that's the point. Okay, so so he says. He says right here, the choice of asking, what do you want?
Taking sannyasa is always possible.
403, 403,
Third paragraph.
405.
is there therefore, okay, Arjuna, is therefore not better to go for sannyasa? Arjuna definitely, did we see that yet?
No, we are on
We
the
are done
third
with
paragraph. Taking sannyasa is always possible.
Oh,
405.
On the wrong place. 405. I
405.
turned the page over. Taking sannyasa is always possible because it is open to choice. Now, if you are mumukshu, and there's a choice between a life realization of activity and a life of action, why should you perform activity? Mumukshu means what?
Seeking, seeker.
Seeker of the moksha.
A person that is desirous of moksha, right? He says, this says you're only interested in moksha, which can be gained by the pursuit of knowledge alone. Why would you not take sannyasa and pursue knowledge alone? Because if you have not taken care of your adveshas, it is not possible to do so. You suffer. You know, the pressure of the vasanas is very strong. You see what I'm talking about? The pressure of the vasana is very strong. So you won't be able to even stand it. It will be very difficult. Now you might be able to put a front because you got the cloth and everything. But inside you'll be burning. You're gonna be in hell.
So Karma Yogi is one step ahead of sannyasi?
No, karma yogi and the karma yogi and the sannyasi are doing the same thing.
Yeah, but
the-
Raga Dveshas are not. See, we are talking about
The karma yogi is working on his raga dveshas. That will make him contemplative, hopefully. Okay, the sannyasi is someone that has taken care of his raga dveshas already. You know, is very careful with raga dveshas, so he can live, seek a life of contemplation and and self-knowledge. So, but if he hasn't done that, then he should go back to doing a karma yogi. And there's nothing wrong being a karma yogi. That's the problem. People think that there is this is better than the other. No. You know, some people go for sales. And some people go for warehouse taken care of. They never see the public. You know what I'm talking about in different jobs? Some people, they don't want to see the public. They just want to take care of the administrator back in the back office and don't bring me any customers here. It is just a choice. And some people cannot be back there because they'll suffer. They have to go out and sell. So you take a karma yogi and you put him back there, the guy go crazy. See? Or you do the opposite. You bring, this guy just want to meet the public. And you put him with the public, the guy's going to go nuts. You know, it's just a matter of the different kinds of minds. So if someone is going to be a sannyasi, then for the sake of pursuing self-knowledge, he better have the inclination for that, proper. And that means that raga dveshas have been taken care of. Now, does that mean that precludes the karma yogi? No, he's doing the same thing, but within the realms of, that's his loka, if you know the proper, that's his sphere of function. That's just, I couldn't help when I was working. I couldn't stand in the back room, doing work. I had to be out front, taking care of customers. I went to the back room to learn about the back room, but for the sake of dealing with customers, I became, that was the thing. Put me back there, and I was trying to fix the world, sales. I was in the front. That's the idea. Okay. Even if you commit.
Even if you do commit yourself to the pursuit of this knowledge, other interests will be there based on your raga-dveshas. For most people who take to this knowledge, it is not the predominant factor in their lives. They have a lot of other interests as well. Therefore, they are not sannyasis at all. One does not become a sannyasi just by pursuing knowledge. Sannyasa implies a certain mind as only possible by karma yoga.
Okay, look at the word. There's a key word there. Predominant factor. What does that mean?
That means the key point, key factor.
It becomes like the pivot of your life. You know what I'm talking about? Like the pivot of your life. Everything else is around it. It's like when you're in love, and your beloved becomes the pivot of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you do is for the sake of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that person, that person has to have this predominant aspect of his life, her life. If that is not, that means there's other interests, and it's okay. Work those out, no problem. And then where does that come from? It comes from, okay, you might have the viveka. You might know that it is self-knowledge you want. But that self-knowledge is still in the scale of priorities. Might not be on the top. You see what I'm talking about? It's not, might not be in the top. And then, how would it not be in the top? Because a person has not seen completely the value of that. There's something else more valuable than that. And that has only had to do with lack of clarity. Lack of clarity. And if there is clarity, and still it doesn't take the top priority, then it is because the other things are pretty strong. The other things become ruling. And actually, the person, there's a saying that Jesus in the Bible says. Okay, let's take moksha or self-knowledge as heaven. Okay, use the language of the Christian. Jesus told his people that listen to him, says, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else shall be taken care of, will be given unto you. That's what he said in the Bible, okay? I'm not quoting exactly maybe, but that's exactly paraphrasing. Now watch. We tend to take a particular pursuit because that to us becomes the most predominant thing. And we think that if we don't take care of that, it won't be taken care of, especially spirituality, for example. Say, look, I'll do spirituality for Sundays or whatever it is, satsang day or whatever it is. But right now, my predominant thing is to this business or whatever, family, whatever. Hey, listen, don't worry about it. Seek moksha. And this is so amazing that then everything gets included in it. There's nothing that gets excluded. You see what I'm talking about? It just permeates the entire life of the person. Not the person is always studying and this and that. No. The attitude that the person brings to life is all inclusive if the person is seeking moksha. That's why I say heaven. But then most of us, our mind has developed a particular value. A lot of people spend most of their lives, caring for the body, caring for comfort, caring for this, which is okay. But this body is rotting, we don't see that, and I say, well, I gotta take care of it and so on. So we become so focused on that, or the business, or this or that. With that, they think that they're going to have to exclude that in order to seek the truth. However, the fact is that the person that takes on the pursuit of heaven or moksha, does not exclude anything, as a matter of fact, becomes more keen and more involved in whatever he or she does. Because now, dharma, it applies everywhere. And then, karma phala applies everywhere. Karma phala means the results of actions apply anywhere, because everything you do has results. But now you're bringing Ishwar into the picture, and then you take him as a karma phala datta, which is an amazing, liberating thing. Because here, when I do something, I'm going like the guy that plays bowling. I'm trying to give it English over here, I'm going like that, and everything that I do, I'm twisting myself to make it go the way I want to. And I'm angry all the time, I'm fearful all the time, I'm anguished all the time, trying to control the world, and the actions. But the person performs the action, is able to let it go, and then take whatever comes as prasad. We talked about that. Then the person is, in that moment, the person is free. And it's in every situation, whether you're relating with a friend, you're relating with an enemy, relating with your family, relating with your business, relating with a freeway, relating with your body getting old, everything becomes a beautiful thing. So the kingdom of heaven, is a hand. Just like moksha is a hand. At that moment you're experiencing moksha. You see what I'm talking about? Because you don't have all this stuff that you want to go and make sure the world works the way you manipulate in the world is impossible. You don't have all the knowledge. You don't have all the power. So you have to somehow learn to let it go. Stimulants and all that stuff are for the sake of helping us control the thing. There's something you can control, but we want to control. I was listening to Swamiji today. He says that they had this problem, a couple, and got married and all that stuff, and they had a lot of problems. And then 15 years later, they met him again. He went and visited the city. And then they came to see him, and she said that they both said the problems are over. In other words, the relationship, became okay. And he says, what did it? He says, we made a pact. He said, look at this, we made a pact. I was suffering because I was trying to change him. He was suffering because he was trying to change me. We made a pact that we were not try to change each other. We just try to live our lives. He says, 20 years, 15 years wasted of life, because of this tension and stresses, because of trying to change each other. That was the high result, of accepting the person as he or she is. And then something happened too, that each one by themselves changed to somehow conform to the other person without having to be pressed into it. So the war stopped. So life became, became better for both of them. That is what renunciation really is, in some way. Stop trying to control life. You can't. So to surrender means to allow life to take care of itself. You do the best you can. You let go of the bowling ball, and once it's gone, it's out of your hands. And whatever there is, just mark the score. That's all. He went in the canal. What do you call this channel?
Gutter.
Well, next time I just see what you did, and next time change the position and try it again. But you cannot change it, Anyway, that's the point that he's trying to say. Heaven here, can be taken as moksha in the lips of Jesus, because Jesus was a jnani, someone that knew this stuff. So seek that first, and you'll find out. Have the faith, and you'll find out everything else will come along. Everything else will come along. Don't postpone it, because tomorrow you might not be here. And the when will never come. That's the point. Okay? So anyway, So here we said that the key word was the predominant factor in their life. Meaning what? That this knowledge might not be predominant. If it is not predominant, then other things will take, how do you call this, higher.
Priority.
Yeah, priority, that's correct, priority. So it says, sannyasa implies a certain mind that is only possible by karma yoga, and he emphasizes karma yoga. You want to read the next section, please?
To conclude that performing action is of no use to you when what you want is moksha is not correct. Doing karma is useful because without a prepared mind, your pursuit of knowledge will be useless. Without karma yoga, there is no chance of neutralizing your raga dveshas, and if this neutralization does not take place to a significant degree, there is no chance to gain the knowledge through which all action is given up. Thus, to take a life of sannyasa without having dealt with your raga dveshas is meaningless.
Okay. So this neutralization has to take place to a significant degree. Now, how do you measure that? How do you measure that? I mean, let's suppose that you want to measure it yourself. How do you measure that? Okay, what happens when my mind is ruled by raga dveshas?
Be angry.
Angry. What else?
Depression.
Depression. What else?
Sadness.
Sadness. What else?
Jealousy.
Jealousy. Is that right? Frustration, anguish, fear, hope. I hope it happens, I hope it happens, I hope it happens. You know? All this stuff. Now, in general, you can say sorrow. In general, right? You take the whole batch, you call it sorrow. So you take, from here to here is your day. Okay, this part right here. You know, your day, my day. Okay. One day is one day. Okay, now, and then we have a whole bunch of these guys. To what degree, you know, am I not suffering from that? Or to what degree am I suffering from that? Okay, and nobody can, even your wife can say that you're angry, and you might not be, isn't it? Even your friend might say you're sad, but you're really not sad. You're the only one that really knows what's inside your heart. And you're not to judge anybody else because you can't. So, to what degree, and so it's a high degree, middle degree, low degree, is my mind, you know, not being ruled by raga dvesha. That requires a little reflection, isn't it? Self-analysis. Look at the day, so which might to say, and reflect what happened from the moment you woke up until the moment you went to bed. Just reflect upon it. And you know, I was looking at the weather channel, you know, because we're interested in the weather over there. And you go into the weather channel, I'm sure, and you see the weather, and they have, how do you call this, colors. Have you seen the colors?
Yeah.
You know, I think they got blue and this and that, and it gets a little yellow, and they got a little red, and all this stuff. So it starts showing in the intensity until it becomes really red. You know, when it's red, you know, when we were seeing Oakland, my God, you know, and the clouds were going, they were yellow, of course, but there were some areas that were really red or orange. So I like to look at my life and see if it is blue or yellow or red or somewhere between yellow and red, orange, in terms of, so there's a degree, you have to measure. Nobody can measure it for you. And it's not something to brag about. But somehow, you know, by the grace of God, my life is actually mostly blue, you can say. And that's wonderful. Not mine, then, it's more or less the degree is already taking care of his or her raga dveshas. But then suppose if it's only the exception, you take the whole month. It was a miserable month, or you take the year, So the thing is, it is in one's power, as it were. It's in one's power, because that's the only thing we can do. Is is to take this vision, this knowledge, and to just say, okay, why is it happening? And you take it and try to understand it through these means, and then make adjustments in your attitude in order to be able to gain more blue instead of some yellow, orange, or red. And nobody else can do it for you. And then you say, well, how can I have blue if this guy crossed me on the freeway? How come can I have blue if every time I go on the highway, on the street, I always get the red light? You see the idea? Or I already use so many things and my hair doesn't grow up, doesn't come out. Or look at it, it's coming out, or whatever. We'll get put, and we blame the red light, or we bring, and we have to take responsibility. If I'm a seeker of truth, I have to first deal with the truth of my everyday feelings, and say that the world is not there to make me happy. The world is not there to comply to my wishes, for the ones that I don't want to go away and change, or for the ones that I want to come or stay. See, I have to somehow resolve myself to that. And that is an amazing exercise. Because then you're dealing with the truth of your relative reality. You say, well, I want to go for the ultimate reality. Bull. No, you have no way to do that. Because first you have to have resolve to a, what does he call it? Relative degree. He said, that's what he's saying? High degree. Your relative reality. You have to deal with it in a way that is healthy. Healthy means it doesn't get red all the time. It seems to be going from red into orange, and then from orange into yellow, and now it's getting a little bluish. It's wonderful. And it is not because of what's not happening or happening outside. It is because of certain attitude. And that attitude could be karma yoga. And it's doing it not just for the sake of being comfortable. In other words, in my life, have some peace in my life. But it's for the sake of I want to have a mind for self-knowledge. Because even this blue is, it's always going to change. It cannot be blue all the time, 100% blue. Blue, I don't know, they use blue? I think they use blue in the thing, yeah, they use blue in the, I'm talking about the Weather Channel. But to a degree, a high degree, so these changes are there, and so if you take, like this is the end of the year, and you make your balance of the year, your, how do you call this, profit and loss, there's a lot more profit, there's a lot more blue, yellow than orange, red. And this falls for the sake of not just for karma, to enjoy, because I'm not a bhakti. I am a karma yogi for the sake of self-knowledge. If my life's pivot is moksha. Now, let's suppose my life's pivot is not moksha. Then I should question myself, why shouldn't I make it moksha? And then, if my life's pivot is something else, what am I going to get out of it? That has to be questioned too. But that question cannot come if the mind is like this. That question will not even arise if the mind is like this. Red or orange, like that. Because there's no clarity. All this is reaction. There's no clarity like this, only reaction. This only comes out of the gut instead of coming out of the head and the heart. See, so that's why I brought the question, how do you know? How do you measure it? Who measures it for you? I say, hey, come over here, let me see. I'll measure you, come on. I said, nobody can. Only God and you know that, that's all. That's an important point, I think.
Mhm.